This is a first look and initial review of a brand new drone by GEPRC, and it's the Darkstar 2204 Pro version. Now, I've just picked this drone up. I picked up the WTFPV version, so that's the one that comes without the 04 Pro, and I've taken it out of one of my old drones and put it in here for the video. GEPRC, as I said, they've just released this, and it's a really competitive side of the market with the Pavo 20 and that size. So 2.2, it should be interesting to see. I do fly freestyle and a little bit of fun, things like that, and even tiny whoops, but I like to fly cinematic, so smooth. I use quite a few cine whoops, and in particular from GEPRC, I've got my Cinebot 30. I've got two Cinelog 30 V3s, which I use as my like my daily driver. I use them for client shoots. They're fantastic. So I like the idea of having another 04 Pro, a little bit smaller to get in those tighter gaps. So we'll see how smooth it is. Right, so let's get this open. So you've been waiting for. And as ever, the packaging, they seem to have gone with this with quite a few of the drones now. I think the Vapor was like this and the Cinelog. So lovely bit of packaging. And here is the beautiful drone. We'll just set this to one side for 1 second. Let's have a little look what we get in here. So we've got the instructions and a few GEPRC stickers if they're important to you. So this is a spare frame. I always like to see this now, and a lot of companies are doing this, but spare frame just in case, so you don't have to order one if you do have any bumps. But it does feel quite rigid, so hopefully we don't break any of those. And then we've just got this side packet here with all our little bits in there. Let's just empty it all out and see what we've got. As you can see, the GEPRC comes in orange by standard, but you do get spare frames. So you've got a spare top section. This is for your GPS. So it screws directly onto the 04 Pro, and you can put your GPS on there. You can even tuck your wires in if you need to. It is optional, but if you want to run GPS on your drone, you can do that. And this is the top mount, which we'll show you on the drone in a second. Just protects it. We've got some props, and these are a new set of props. These are Gemfan 22193s, so 2219 three-bladed props. And we've got our loader bag of bits, so loads of spare screws. Now you'll see I've used these screws, so I use the M2x6 screw to screw some of my drone together. I'll show you where I use those. You've obviously got your little thing for binding your 04 and a little Allen key should you need one. We've got a couple of spare grommets, and again, I'll show you where those are on the drone. There's only 2 in there though. I would have liked to have seen 6 because there are 6 on the drone. So we've got a spare battery holder, and that's a 10 by 120. It's the same as the one that's on the drone, same length. I'm not always a fan of these, just in case you lose it, but again, a lot of drones are doing this these days where you're not getting a full USB socket. So plug that in, don't lose it, and that's the way you'll connect to Betaflight. But obviously, once you've set it up, you shouldn't really need to use that so often. And last but not least, a little extra carbon piece that goes on the bottom of your battery. We'll keep this to one side, and I'll show you that on the drone. Now, let's have a look at the drone in question. It's a 2.5mm carbon plate on the bottom, and we've got, obviously, it's a 2.2-inch drone, so we've got the propellers there as well, and it's a 100mm wheelbase. Okay, on the bottom, we've got our all-in-one flight controller, and it's a brand new one for GEPRC, and it's a Taker F405 all-in-one, and that supports 2 to 4S. Now, this is a 3S drone, but it does support 2 to 4S, and that's for 20 amps as well, which is fine. And it's great that it has 16 megabytes of onboard flash. Now, I'm not somebody who tunes drones, but 16 meg is quite a lot. 8 is usually the standard, so that's good to see. Looks like we've got SpeedX 1104 7500 kV, so they should give a little bit of pump as well. And if you noticed, it's props up. So, you know, most cine whoops these days are props down, so this should give a little bit more authority in the air if you like your freestyle. Now, we've got the 04 Pro mounted in there as well, so we've got the camera up front. And as you see, on the camera, it's protected by this little piece here. So you don't have to use this. You can take it off if you want to reduce the weight a little bit. But basically that screws in, and that enables you to adjust your camera from 0 degrees up to, I'd say, 40 degrees, something like that. Now, what you can see, if I can hopefully get it on camera, is the bottom piece just overhang ever so slightly, just a little bit. So hopefully in a head-on crash, you've just got to be careful because you could end up damaging that bottom piece there, which would give you a few issues putting a filter on. Would have been nice to have that to come out a little bit further, but it's still quite well protected. Easy to adjust as well, and obviously you can tighten those screws. Now, the 04 is screwed in on here. If you're putting this together yourself, just be mindful, these are flat head. So you'll see these are round and these are flat. So use the flat-headed ones, and it's 2 on that side, 2 on that side. And a really cool feature is this is all soft mounted. So obviously the camera itself is hard mounted, but the whole plate is soft mounted, and it's by these gummies. So you've got 2 gummies either side, you've got 2 under the camera, and you've got 1 on the back as well. Now, what I will say is when I first put this drone together, I thought, oh, this is a pain, this. I was struggling a little bit, but it's actually really easy. There's just a little bit of a knack to it. Now, what it does mean is if you want to take your drone apart, you know, you can pull them all out. They've got little slots all the way around and detach the top canopy. No screws needed. And obviously you just got your wires connecting to the flight controller. And to put them back in, what I find is the best way is come from the side. So if you just pull it out, lift it up to make it a little bit thinner, and it just slots back in. If you're doing the front ones, just move your camera out of the way. And again, they push in from the side. And I find if you come in from an angle, they go in no problem. So yeah, cool design, should be no jello. Just on top, you've got a space for your GPS. So that sits on top of the 04. I haven't got one in. I actually don't have a need for a GPS on a drone like this. So I haven't put one on. But if you do want to see that in a future video, let me know. I'll throw a spare one in and we'll give it a test. But if you want to put one in, you've got the option there. I really won't be flying it far enough for that. Now, it's a bottom-mounted battery. So the batteries they recommend, GEPRC, are, they've got their own battery, a 720, and I believe it is quite light. Now, if you buy the drone from them with the 04 Pro, they actually give you a free, one of their new ND filters, an ND8, so you get that with it, and you get one of their batteries free as well, which is quite cool, so you get up and running straight away. If you buy the version I bought, which is a WTFPV, that doesn't come with the 04, and it doesn't come with a filter. Now, I believe the first X amount of orders for the launch, they will be giving some free gifts, and I think they do include a filter, but don't count on that, and you don't get a battery with that. Now, I use these GMB 720. These are high voltage batteries, 100C. So I've got a few of those, so we'll give those a try. And it says with those, we should get a flight time of about 7 minutes, something like that, 7 minutes 15. I've also got these DOGCOM batteries, which are brilliant, really, really good. These are 150C, 560 mAh, and again, 3S. We'll give it a blast on both, and we'll see the difference in flight time and see if there's any difference in feel. They mount onto the bottom of the drone. I'll just throw one on for now, and we've got the XT30 on the back. So I'll slot that in there. And you'll also notice we had this carbon piece from before. So this carbon piece, if you want to use it, it just enables you to stand the drone up a little bit cleaner. So you can put that on top of your battery. There you go, get it in straight. Obviously you plug it in, and it just means that when you've got your drone there, your drone's going to stand up a little bit better. Now I noticed the strap is pretty thick. So because it's thick, it doesn't sit too well, but it's going to protect your drone a little bit. And like you say, when you're going to take off, it's going to save your drone being on one side. So yeah, I'll probably leave it on just for that little bit of protection. But if you want to save some weight, just ditch it. So super bright LEDs on there. And as you'll see, you don't just see them from the bottom, you see them from the top as well. So, you know, they're quite cut back, the prop, so they should be super bright. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect this to Betaflight. Let's just check what the settings are. Now, I know the drone is bang up today and they said it is ready to fly. And I know that you can't use the existing version of Betaflight. You need to use the app version. So go to app.betaflight.com. We should be using that version anyway, because obviously Betaflight's updated now. If you want to run it on your computer, you can download it from there as a web app, but you need to use that version if you're going to update. However, because the flight controller is that new, it's actually not as a target in the older version. By the time people get their hands on this, it should be. They said it'll be a couple of weeks, so that shouldn't be a problem. Right, we'll quickly just do the weight of the drone. So this is going to be the weight of the drone with the 04 Pro. And that's showing at 129 grams. Without the 04 Pro, it comes in at 93.6, and probably add on another couple of grams once you've got your GPS and your wires on there as well. The battery, the 720 GMB, 51 grams. And the DOGCOM 560, 45 grams, so quite a bit less. So let's have a look at those together. So the drone and the 720, 179 grams all in. And with the DOGCOM, 172. Right, I've just fired up the computer. I've got Betaflight running, again, the app version. And now we'll just connect to the drone. So we've got the little USB. That just pushes in on one side. And now we can connect in Betaflight. Now, the first thing they recommend is to put a little battery under the drone so you can kind of get it level, because you'll find that the strap gets in the way a little bit. And then we can calibrate the accelerometer. That'll do, that's close enough. Okay, and let's just have a quick check to see what they've got set up. So the UARTs we shouldn't have to touch, unless obviously you add GPS, you're going to have to do that yourself. Configuration, arming angle 180, that's always what I like to see. Air mode, permanently enabled, I'm going to turn that off. I always like to have air mode on a switch, and because it's a Cinewhoop, if you fly indoor, I like to be able to flick air mode off for a little bit more authority inside, and so it's not blowing around as much. PID tuning, again, don't touch that. The rates, so I like sensor sensitivity around 10. So we'll go for 1,000, which is going to be very, very quick. And on the yaw, we're going to go down to 800, I like that a little bit less. And I like a little bit of expo. Go for 20 today. Next, I'm going to bind my receiver, and I'm using the TX15. What I'm going to do, off camera, I'm just going to bind my drone. I'll connect the receiver, and then I'll bring you back. Telemetry connected. So everything's in the right place. My roll, my yaw, that's good. So the beeper, user one, which will be lights, the arm and angle. Right, so angle, I'm going to move onto my second switch there. That's fine. We'll put that there. And then we're going to have a flip over after crash. Acro mode, turtle mode on. And we'll put that to the top. Now, I don't have GPS on this one, but what else have we got? So we're going to put lights over on the side there. Air mode, we're going to put that on this switch here. So what I've done there, if I've set that now, I'll just click save. So by default, it's on, but then I can flick it off on a switch. Okay, so now we've just come to the OSD tab. I've already set a few things up. We've got our LQ for ELRS along the top. We've got our altitude. We've got our throttle percentage. We've got our warnings. We'll stick them in the middle of the screen. And we've got our few little bits at the bottom. That is all we need. We'll save that. Let's take it out and give it a flight. Right, we're now out to fly the GEPRC Darkstar 22. The weather's been awful recently. It's been raining low, so I've not had a chance to get out. Now, I got this drone mainly for cruising, cinematic, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to be doing, but I'll show you it can do a few flips and rolls and stuff if you need to as well. Going to leave the lights off, save a little bit of battery, we'll stick that on the roof. We're going to shoot 4x3, 4K 60 in wide, and stabilization off, shoot it in D-Log. The best way I find is lean to the right a little bit before you take off. There you go. And we're up. So let's have a little cruise around first. You can see it's quite bright today. And I'll be honest, it's taken a little bit of getting used to this controller. I don't know if many of you have got the TX15. I've had it for a little bit now, but I've not flown too much. But I find the sticks are so loose on it. So I'm going to have to put the harder springs on, I think. But yeah, we'll just have a little cruise around first. Let's just get the, not flown for a few days, so let's just get the feeling back. You can see straight away, it's so smooth. Now, I've got the camera angle quite low for this one, just so we can go nice and slow around the park. Just checking out there's nobody around, there's not. Yeah, lovely. This 04 Pro is fantastic, isn't it? As you can see, this can be quite precise. A little bit of wind today, not too much. So, lovely drone, nice and quiet as well, which is good. And this, for me, is going to be a drone for doing filming inside and out, which it's more than capable of. But yeah, looks and feels lovely. That's me sat there. Just have a little float round here first, again, just to get the feeling of the drone again. But yeah, it's feeling lovely. Yeah, this is going to be great for all those who like to do fly-throughs. I do internal fly-throughs, so this for me is going to be perfect. Now, I do love my go-to, and I've got two Cinelog 30 V3s, and they're fantastic. They're on a 4S cell, whereas these are 3. And I wondered how this would do. That's why I got this drone. Now, GEPRC were kind enough to send me this one for free. Now, this was the WTFPV version. I didn't get the 04 with it. But I've got loads of GEPRC drones, and I've been really interested in this. And I can happily say already, this is going to be perfect for fly-throughs, where you want something a little bit smaller. Or not even necessarily smaller, but inside it has a benefit because it's going to produce less wind and less thrust underneath it, so it's not going to blow things around as much. Yeah, as I say, I'm just getting used to the throttle control on this because it is very sensitive on this TX15. I do need to have a look at the other springs. Can we go through this? Yeah. But yeah, lovely and precise. And being smaller, you can get through those little, you know, those small gaps as well. .61, we've been flying for 4 minutes. Come on, Chris. There's a little bit of wind today, so it is just blowing me off just a touch when I'm going. I mean, the trick is when you're flying things like this, you want to keep moving. You know, you don't want to be going too slow. When you start floating around, that's when it really gets you, the wind. So I've been flying for 5 minutes now. Now the advertised flight time with this is 7 minutes 15. So we'll see how we do with that. And again, this is just a real cruisy flight. So we're not blipping the throttle on this one. We're just cruising round just to see what we get out of it. But you can see how smooth it is, this drone. It's lovely. And obviously with the 04, fantastic range. I don't really know it around here, so I'm not sure where we can go behind here, but we'll have a little look. Don't want to crash it on this side of the field, ideally, with it being, it's been very, very wet in the UK lately, so the ground is absolutely sopping, so we don't want to get it. Ooh. That's risky, but we're good. There we go. So 6 minutes. Now I like to land at 3.5, so we'll come in for a landing now, but another minute maybe, could we? If you wanted to, I don't want to destroy my batteries. But yeah, we're not too far off that flight time at all, really. Now I don't want to get my drone wet, so we'll just dink it in here, I think. There we go. Boom. So that was 6 minutes 36. And let's see what the battery recovered to. 3.58. So we could have flown for a little bit longer, so I think 7 minutes is great. So what we'll do now, let's switch to the smaller battery, the 560, the DOGCOM. Now I have got my rate set a little bit cinematic, so I'm not going to go crazy, but we'll just give it a few little flips here and there just to see how it performs. Now it is a cine whoop, so I'm expecting a few wobbles here and there, but we'll see. Stick it on the roof. All right, let's go for battery number 2. So did you see before I took off then, I just strained it up slightly. In fact, I've just realised we probably should have changed the camera angle. I might bring it back and do that. Oh, we have got, the rates are all right for doing flips and rolls. I tell you what, definitely feels more agile with this the 560. Yeah, I do love it. You can still slow it down nice again. Yeah, you can see I'm blipping the throttle all the time. It's so difficult on this controller because it's so light. And you can get rid of that with changing your rate slightly, but it's more just getting used to the throttle on this. It's so light, it's unbelievable. Yeah, just the slightest movement and you're popping up in the air. But you can imagine if you had to do some little shoots and stuff, it'd be fantastic for that. Yeah, 4 minutes. Loving it. I know I'm not really saying much. So this drone, being on 3S, it flies great. Now, what I will tell you is I have a lot of 4S batteries because I fly, as I said, mentioned before, I've got my Cinelog 30s. I've got a few drones that use 4S. So what I did try the other day, and I'm not too sure whether the footage I've still got it, but if not, I will test it again. I tried the drone with a 4S battery. So this flight controller, which is a new flight controller, it does support up to 4S. So I put on my 650 GMB high voltage batteries, and I put a throttle limit on. Obviously you need to do that because of the props. You know, they're not designed for 4S. And I put a throttle limit of 65%. And yeah, I could fly it with those, absolutely no problem. And it felt great. So if you do want to fly it on 4S, yes, you can, but you do need to make sure you drop that throttle limit. Now, I tried it on 65, that worked for me, but you know, your mileage may vary. Let's just rearm to see what we finished on. 5 minutes 35. Right, so there we go. I think what I need to do next is go and take it indoors, fly around the garden, fly around the house, and let's see what it's like in close quarters. Because for me, it's all going to be about, you know, doing those fly-throughs. It's cruising, it's small, it's light. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Right, see you at home. Right, so I've just arrived home and I've got my drone set up, ready to go. And I'm just going to connect to Betaflight on my TX15. So this is the script that you can run. I know you probably can't see it, but it enables you to change some things straight on the on your controller. So I just want to change my throttle midpoint because I think it's gone down to 23 by mistake. You can save it and send it to the drone, and it just saves you connecting to Betaflight. Right, and let's see how we go. Again, straighten the drone up first, and then take off. There we go. Oh, that's better. That's better. Brilliant. Right, so that's now smooth. Look, now I'm not bobbing. So basically, where I was going wrong with my throttle expo, it's just a little bit different on the newest version of Betaflight. So I think I mentioned this drone does come on 2025-12, the new version, which is effectively 4.6. And you now have a throttle hover point, which is set, and I wasn't 100% sure how to use it. So what you do, if you want, when you're hovering, it to be basically 50% of your throttle, so halfway up your stick should be your hover point, really. That's nice and smooth. You set your midpoint to 0.50, which we just changed, and then what you do, you set your hover point. So take your drone up, cruise round, and have a look in your goggles. Like on the right hand side of me, you can see it's 36, 37. That's the percentage that my drone hovers at with this battery. This is a 720 mAh. And then if you add some expo, I think I've got 0.4 or something like that. That just flattens out the curve. So when you're hovering, you can move your stick. If you look at my control now, if you look at my control up and down, it's not really doing much. The drone's not changing height, so it enables you to stay nice and smooth. So I'll show you where I am. Let's have a little fly in the house. Let's see how we go. There we go. Let's have a little fly around, see how she's looking. Because I think this drone's going to be perfect for doing some like fly-throughs and things. Obviously need to get used to the speed of the drone and how it feels, but once you get it, you should be able to go nice and smooth. Should be able to go around it, under the table maybe. Yeah, you can see it's great. Nice and precise. Like everything, just takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you can fly inside, nice and smooth. But it's definitely a good drone to fly indoors because it's only small. Into my office. Not sure what we've got round here, whether we can get round here, maybe. You can see that, very small space. There's some of my other drones there. Some of the bigger ones, and then at the top we've got my Cinewoops. And in the second shelf, that shelf there where we're pointing, where the crosshairs are, that is my Cinelog 30 V3s. Brilliant. I've got my GEPRC Moz7 there as well. But yeah, this is definitely a good drone for inside. You know, for your, obviously with the 04 Pro, which is fantastic. If you want to get practice flying inside, what you want to do, you want to fly with tiny whoops, because tiny whoops are fantastic for practice. Yeah, now I'm running at 800 rates here, which is a bit quick for inside. But yeah, definitely could be doing some flight, definitely could do some internal flights with this. Yeah, nice and smooth. Out to winds wouldn't be a problem at all. Yeah, it's good. So we'll see what this is like smoothed out. You can see all the wobbles on here.
Disarmed.
Boom. Right, it's a few days after, back in my office, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. So the weather's not been great last few days, but I have managed to fly it a few more times in between the rain, and I absolutely love it. So for me, the GEPRC Darkstar 22, it's small, it's powerful, it looks good, which is important as well. It's got a good flight time. Again, depending on the batteries you use, you're going to get between, let's say, 5 and 6.5 minutes, 7 at a push. And that's with the 560s to 720s that I tried it with. It produces really smooth footage. It's good for indoor and outdoor, which is important to me. And if you want to do some freestyle, you can do that as well. But that's not the reasons I like this drone. So a few bad points that I've noticed so far. Even though the drone produces lovely, smooth, buttery results, in your goggles, it is pretty shaky. More shaky than some of my other Cinewhoops. And I don't know if this is because of the way the camera's mounted. So in your goggles, it is pretty shaky, as you probably saw in the footage, but your final result, that doesn't show. So that's not a big one. The gummies, even though they're a good point in getting it off, they can damage. I have broken one gummy and one is little bit. You get 2 in the pack, but I've been online and I've ordered 12 more. So I've got plenty just in case. And finally, the antennas. Now, this is from similar to the GEPRC Cinelog 30 V3 that I've got, that in a crash, if you flip upside down, these, even though they look like they're in now, these can pop off quite easily. And when you flip the right way around, you find that it gets stuck in the propellers, or it's going to be, you can hear it when you restart. Maybe you need a little bit of a cable tie or something to keep those in, or just be aware of it. If you flip upside down, maybe check the drone. But apart from that, I think it's fantastic. Where does it fit in my lineup? For me, it's a Cinewhoop, so it's going to be there for doing some cinematic footage, indoor and outdoor, mainly indoor for me, although I can use it outdoor as well. And this is going to produce some lovely, smooth results. And it's just a lot smaller than my Cinelog 30, although my daily driver is still my Cinelog 30. I love that drone. So the big question is, should you buy it? Well, I can't really answer that. It's really down to you. Whenever you buy a drone, it's so easy to see a new shiny drone. Yes, I want it. But just decide, do you need it? Can you use it, or where does it fit? If you're looking for a smaller drone, brilliant. Now, if this is your first drone, yeah, this could be a good one. It's easy to put together, things like that. But just decide what works for you. I've given you my views and how I would use it. So hopefully that has helped. Now, if you want to pick up one of these drones for yourself, I'll leave a few links in the description below. I'll leave a link to GEPRC if you want to buy it direct. And if you buy the version with the 04 Pro included, you're going to get a free 720 battery, I think it was. And you're going to get an ND8 filter as well. If you get the version I got, which is a WTFPV, without the 04, you will not get the filter. But the first so many orders will. Another great place to pick it up is AliExpress, and I'll leave a link below. They've got some fantastic deals for Black Friday and Cyber Monday and some discount codes. So GEPRC, you can buy it from them on there. That is affiliated, so anything you buy from there doesn't cost you anything, but it just gives a little kickback to me and it helps support the channel to continue making more videos. So if you like the video, please drop a like below, leave a comment and consider subscribing. I'm going to be posting lots more content, whether it's freestyle, Cinewhoops, the Mini 5, the Avata, anything like that, anything drone related and tech related to drones, I'm going to be reviewing and showcase on the channel. Anything you want to see, let me know. But I will see you in the next one. Peace.